Hi, this is Hesper Hyman, and this is my Module 5, Barriers to Web 2.0. So looking at the article summaries, one of the things, of course, I noticed was that throughout all the articles, they talked about how technology is constantly changing and how, unfortunately, our education system and our classrooms are not staying up with that technology. I think many of the reasons that were given in these articles are very valid because there are a lot of the same reasons why I don't currently use technology as much as I should in my classroom. Some of those things are the lack of technology. Sometimes the technology is outdated, or you just don't have availability to it. Lack of time, the planning and that needs to go into using the technology, the resources, being able to schedule getting into the computer lab, all of that takes a lot of extra time. Lack of training. I know for myself, I don't feel that I have the training to be able to incorporate technology into my classroom as well as I should. I can use it for research, I can use it for information gathering, but I don't feel that I'm using it adequate enough for student collaboration. Sometimes there's a lack of administrative support. If you have administrators that did not use technology in their classrooms, they don't feel that technology is as important in the current classrooms. And then lack of technology support. I know for us, our IT person comes from 2 hours away. They get here at 10 and are gone by 3. So it makes it very difficult to get the help that we need when we need it. Several of the articles also talked about open education resources. I know that I use a lot of online resources, but looking for resources for me can be very time consuming and frustrating. Texas has their own very unique set of standards that we call our TEKS that are aligned a little bit differently than Common Core standards are, which make finding information a lot more difficult. I do know that Texas did try using an online curriculum several years ago, that it did fail after about 5 years of usage because the information was not transparent enough. Parents could not see it. Plus, there was a lot of issues of there and complaints of there being an anti-American agenda included. Can the digital divide be resolved? I think the digital divide is always going to be there. Because we're always going to have low income. We're always going to have those places where technology is not going to reach. I know for my school, anywhere between 60 and 70% of our students are considered to be low income, while a lot of them might have cell phones or some small forms of technology. Probably more than 40% do not have Wi-Fi at home. Also, being a small town of about 500 people, the only access to free Wi-Fi is the school. And if you're not inside the school building, you have to be right up outside the school wall outside. So, as a future building principle, something that I would highly encourage would be the use of as many technology resources in the classroom as we can get. Our students, if the only access they're going to be receiving is going to be in the school system, by the time we graduate, we need to make sure that we've given them as many tools as we possibly can. So, what are some skill sets that I believe our students need upon graduation? Communication and collaboration is key. They need to be able to communicate with other people as well as collaborate with assignments and other things that they are working on. And they need to be able to do this through technology as well as one-on-one. Self-direction becomes very important when you're talking about technology, online classes, things like that. You have to have that self-directed motivation. Social skills, we all know that students can text, but they need to understand the transition to those social skills on the internet, how the technology needs to be used, and critical thinking and problem solving. So, building principles, some of the things that I would like to see is to have basic social skills taught to the elementary at a very young age. Start teaching them what is appropriate, what is not, what you should put out there, what you should not. And then we need to encourage the use of technology in class as often as possible. The building principle, I think, needs to establish a very strong vision of what technology needs to be. And then we need to collaborate together to make sure that it's being implemented. So some of the impacts that the global economy has had on my personal usage, communication, being able to do a video, being able to communicate with somebody else halfway around the world. Social media, we all keep up with social media. Somebody we haven't spoke to in 20 years, we can follow on social media. Information acquisition, anything we want to look up, we type it in, we look it up. We want to know what's the name of this song playing on the radio, hold down Snapchat, get the name of the song, the name of the artist, and away we go. And then, of course, there's always shopping. So as a building principle, some of the ways I'd like to see internet being used in the classroom is for communication and collaboration, not just with in the school and in the classroom itself, but being used with other schools, maybe even as far as other countries. Of course, we always will use it for research, but also maybe some virtual reality. Being able to take our kids to the University of Texas without leaving our classroom could be something very important. And of course, real world simulations. Some technology training that I believe that I need some basic IT training. I need to be able to fix things when they break down and continue moving forward with my technology use. I need a better understanding of what collaboration for students needs to look like. How am I going to incorporate that technology, and what is that collaboration supposed to look like? I'd also like to have more training on Google Classroom, and I would like to try to reduce the amount of paper that I use in my classroom. So some things as a building principle that I feel needs to happen is there needs to be a very clear vision of what technology is going to be, and then there needs to be a very strong idea of what professional development needs to be provided. So without the vision, we can't have the professional development, and we can't have the professional development without the vision. They both go hand in hand. Right now at my school, we have Apple computers. We currently have 2 rolling carts with 15 MacBooks in them. Each elementary class has at least 10 iPads, with the junior high having 15. We have an Apple computer lab with 15 stations. Every teacher has a MacBook. And we also have Promethean boards, which are interactive boards in our classroom. Our technology, I feel like, has become outdated. They switched us over to Google about a year ago, and unfortunately, our technology has not caught up with that. So we're looking to hopefully change that over the next year or so. As a building principle, something that I feel would be very important is to make sure that technology is being used in a current way that is best for the students. And we need to make sure that it's being used to the best of its ability, that we're getting everything we can out of it. Some advantages of innovative practices. Our students have tools at their ready all the time. This can broaden their horizon or their knowledge. We have several students that probably haven't been an hour outside of this town. So for them to be able to see the art museum or the University of Texas, as I said earlier, those are things that they might not ever get to see in real life. Being able to expand our cultural knowledge becomes important, and student engagement. Students are going to be more engaged when technology is involved. So as the building principle, something that I'd like to see is that technology being used in creative and innovative ways. I believe that there's so much more that can be done other than just research. Unfortunately, that's what we fall back on, but I would like to see technology being used in creative ways also. What are some disadvantages to students? First, cyberbullying. We have to make sure that we're staying on top of that. Distracted or overstimulated, sometimes technology can take away from the learning process. It becomes more of a distraction than it does become a tool. Security, we need to make sure that we are teaching our students, what is appropriate and what is not, what information that needs to be out there and what doesn't. And we need to make sure that we're not losing any of our fundamental skills. Fundamentals need to be taught first before technology is incorporated. Some of the issues with schools, of course, funding is number 1 on the list, making sure that the technology is staying current, and the security, making sure that no information for students is being lost or being misused. So as a building principle, I would need to make sure that there was a clearly defined technology contract for staff and students. This plan needs to be in place for the continued improvement of technology, and this policy must include, what's going to happen if the rules are broken. So, have there been any instances of cyberbullying or inappropriate internet usage at our school? Unfortunately, there has been. We did have a teacher several years ago that was let go in the middle of a semester for inappropriate use of the technology. We have also had several students had their computer uses either revoked or restricted. Luckily, we have not had many instances of cyberbullying so much as in the school. I know there have been some instances out of the school, but those have been handled very quickly with administration, parents, and the counselor. So, as the building principal, something I think that needs to be in effect is there needs to be a zero tolerance policy for cyberbullying or inappropriate usage. This policy will be outlined on the technology usage contracts, and then it also has to be regulated in a fair manner, and it needs to be policed by several people, not just one. I hope you've enjoyed my Module 5. Thank you for watching.